Massive action, what it actually takes to achieve what you want in life, scale your business, and become more successful. What I found from starting businesses from scratch and building from nothing is that I greatly underestimated what it actually took. And whatever I thought was more than everybody else was actually barely scratching the surface. You're getting rejected. You're dealing with problems. You're learning how to deal with different types of people and different experiences and problems and objections and rebuttals. The bigger problem that you're solving, the bigger the payout. Massive action gives you answers and experience. And those two things combined creates intelligence that creates a competitive advantage. Hey guys, welcome back to the Grant Mitt Podcast, episode number 102. And in this episode, I want to talk about massive action, what it actually takes to achieve what you want in life, scale your business, and become more successful. What I found from starting businesses from scratch and building from nothing is that I greatly underestimated what it actually took. And whatever I thought was more than everybody else was actually barely scratching the surface. And many times when we're starting something out or we're going after a new goal, we're trying to get a promotion, we're trying to start that brand new business. Maybe we're used to having success. Maybe we're used to, whether it was in school or at a specific job that we were at, that we could make those 25 calls or 5 calls. And the second you get someone on the phone, it's like, boom, you close a deal. And if you're talented, what I've found is it's actually a double-edged sword. And I learned this through having to train hundreds and hundreds of people through my own employees, whether it's sales reps, operational, HR, whatever, you name it. But I noticed on the sales side, the biggest weakness many times in people was not some outlying problem that they had, but instead the weakness was how talented they naturally were. They were actually good enough to just show up, kind of wing it, not try too hard, and just kind of figure it out. And as you move up in life, the stakes get more or higher, but most importantly, the competition gets even tougher. And the bigger problem that you're solving, the bigger the payout. And so if we'd only experienced success at a younger level or a lower level competition-wise, we could enter situations to where we think we can just kind of do the bare minimum or your version of work hard, which may be a lot less than what someone else that's the best of the best is doing, and we were able to get away with it. There was this great story that I had when traditionally our sales side, it's all outbound sales. We generate warm leads and we're calling and closing it via Zoom or over the phone. So our business was never really built around door-to-door sales. And we had this new sales rep that came in. It was probably his second month, I believe. And he had closed an extra like 6 or 7 deals, which for our sales reps, they make a lot of money. I mean, that's like 35 to 45 grand, depending on how big the system was. And he was closing all of those extra deals by going door to door when he didn't have an actual appointment that was either preset or he set himself. And so everyone was talking like, yo, did you see this guy? He's crushing it. Yeah, I'm thinking about going door to door too. I have a gap tomorrow. And everyone's talking about it. So people kind of started going door to door in between their appointments for a couple hours, 2 hours here, 3 hours here, 30 minutes here. And they just really weren't getting much success. And they're like, man, what is this guy doing differently? So we finished the month and he's number 1 in sales. And he did about 40 to 50% of his sales from over the phone with warm leads. The rest, which caused him to be the number 1 sales rep and break the record, was through door to door. But like we mentioned, the company, a lot of the really hardworking sales reps started just trying what they thought he was doing, which not for a short period of time. So we said, hey, I'm just going to say his name is Johnny for now. We say, hey, so Johnny, like what worked for you this month? And he gives us this boring answer. And I was like, tell us about door to door. You came out, this is your second month. You did this many deals door to door. You did this much commission. What's the secret? And even I was like, I'm so excited to hear what he says. And you can see everybody's paying attention. They have their notepad out. They're trying to figure out what the secret is because they had started doing the same. And he goes into this long-winded, most boring answer you could ever imagine. He goes, well, I call from 10 to 11. I pick up something to eat real quick. And then I knock for 4 to 5 hours straight. I run the appointment over the phone in my car. I finish that, whether I close it or don't close it. Then I knock till usually about 8 to 9 o'clock at night. And then we're like, oh. And they're like, well, what do you say, blah, blah, blah? And he goes, oh, just the normal script. Well, what about this and this and this? Oh, just what they taught us in training. And everyone's like, but what do you do differently? Nothing, man. I usually I like to knock for at least 6 hours on the lowest, but normal like 9 to 10. And everybody's face is like, and we're talking the other reps. Many of them were, in my opinion, probably more talented than the sales rep. But they weren't even knocking every day. It was like 2 to 3 times a week. And the total amount that they knocked was probably 3 to 4 hours compared to a person that was probably averaging about 8 hours a week. So this other person was knocking over 40 hours a week. So more than 10 times the effort, contacts, doors knocked, and an amount of time spent. No wonder he was doing double the deal flow that they were. Sometimes the answer is not that your product needs to improve, that you need to get better, that you need to find this hack by watching a video on TikTok or Instagram. Sometimes the answer is not doing 20% more, 30% more, 100% more, but literally doing more than 10 times what you're doing now. And not only that, underestimating how many people you need to bring with you, and you need to spend money on ads and post on content and hire and contract and have such a massive organization and team that you slowly build out over time. We sometimes underestimate that it takes that much things. And not only that, we underestimate the problems and the setbacks that are going to occur when we take that massive action. When I first got into sales, I was naturally a really well-spoken person, and I felt pretty comfortable. While I'm an introvert, which a lot of you guys may not even believe, but I'm an introvert naturally. I was good at talking to people, but I underestimated how hard I was working. And what I quickly found out is that the number one reps, there was an interesting correlation between amount of contacts, meaning how many times they talked to the customer, versus them being the top sales rep. And always the top 2 to 3 sales reps always had the highest contacts. While they were fantastic, or they were knowledgeable about the product, or they were hardworking, they were simply putting in more effort and being more efficient than everybody else. And I realized while many times my closing percentage, meaning my skill sets, were on a percentage base higher than these people that were beating me, my effort and my actions were not what they were at. And so what I quickly learned is that I had to take this unbelievably more amount of action to give myself the best chance to beat them. And that's what helped me figure it out. But what a lot of people don't realize is that when you take that massive action, it's not like you're just swinging at something, hoping something happens. When you have clear intention and preparation for every single move that you make, what's great is you're getting rejected, you're dealing with problems, you're learning how to deal with different types of people and different experiences and problems and objections and rebuttals. And this goes for the same thing. You're starting a business. You're testing the marketplace. You don't go ask grandma, your 4 cousins, your girlfriend, and your friend. They all love you. You go talk to hundreds, if not tens of thousands, literally, I mean tens of thousands of people, so many people that you know what's right with your product, what's wrong with your product, what's wrong with your approach, how you could do it better, what's this market versus this market. Massive action gives you answers and experience. And those two things combined creates intelligence that creates a competitive advantage for you, for whatever you do, whether it's you moving up an organization, your business that you're starting, a startup, or doing something new. It gives you a competitive advantage against the rest of the people that are in that market or want to be in that market that don't have as much, I call it data, than you do. Because you have that extra data, you can make better decisions. You don't have to go through the same mistakes. And it's just people don't understand how hard it is. I had a couple friends, actually one of my roommates from college, but I had a couple friends that did this, but one of my friends from college when I was in New York, we played football together. We're still great friends. I see him. He now lives in California. I see him every time I'm out there. It was right when the pandemic was starting. And that was when I'd first started my company. At the time, I was literally working 7 days a week, morning to late at night. And he came to visit. And it was during the pandemic. everything was kind of locked down. He's like, hey man, is it cool if I just come, stay at your place, sleep on the couch for like, a couple days, maybe a week? I was like, yeah, for sure. We're roommates. So I said, pull up, you can come. And he would just see me working and on the phone and on the phone and on the phone. And he's like, my God. I'm like, man, I thought you worked a lot. You probably work 5 times more than I expected. And he's like, honestly, like, I see you post on social media and stuff, and I know we're boys and we FaceTime and this, that, and the other, but I completely underestimated what it took to do what you do. He's like, I can't even believe it. And he went back and changed the way he did everything because he's in sales and, he doesn't have his own business. I'm sure he will eventually, but he was just stunned. He could not realize how much effort I was actually putting in every single day. There's people that have worked at my company to where I've gone in and worked with them because they're all over the country. And whatever they thought was hard work, they found out I was doing 4 to 5 times more than them. And they really weren't doing anything. And they're like, holy cow, I completely underestimated what it took. And many times what you'll see is these people are better. But because you have more output and you're more disciplined, you can beat them and have a competitive advantage. Guys, the motivated will always lose to the disciplined. I'm not saying this to make it a cool saying or make you feel good. You're just going to beat them. It's like the tortoise versus the hare. Being consistent every day, it's not only the actions that give you the benefit, it's the experience. And that's what it is, okay? So let's break down. I want to give you guys kind of a 3-step process on how to assess your life and your business so you can grow, not only finish Q4 or whenever you're listening to this, finish this portion of the quarter or the year off strong, but also have an incredible following year, all right? So number 1, this is so key as you need to know your numbers. This sounds so simple, but I work with entrepreneurs. I do consulting as well as running my own companies. And I work with different entrepreneurs that are scaling their companies. And we've had such tremendous growth with these businesses, just like unbelievable stuff, like nothing to 20K a month, 100K a month, to 300K a month, just crazy results. And I can't tell you how many of them, when I get on that first call, I start asking them, what's your numbers? What's your CAC? What's your customer acquisition cost? What's your lifetime value? What is your pitch percentage? What is your set rate for your appointment setters? What's your churn? I ask all these numbers and they're like, let me look. And they're trying to find it. And then they're trying to do numbers in their head. And we basically come to the realization that they don't understand their numbers. Let's say for the people who aren't running a business, if you're a sales rep, what are your numbers? If you reach out to 100 people on LinkedIn, how many respond? And then out of those, how many set appointments? And then out of how many close actual deals? We many times don't know the numbers to the actions we take. We're just spinning our wheels and doing a bunch of random things. And we don't know why you had a good week versus a bad week. And this sounds crazy. I'm sure you're hearing this from me, but in our first 6 months, we didn't do any of that. I knew sales. I was a good leader, relatively good manager, and I had recruited really talented people, so we were killing it. But it was like month 3, and I call our first manager, and I go, I'm like, man, we just have an issue. I don't know when our reps are in appointments. Like we see that they set an appointment, but we'll like call them in the day and like, hey man, can you call me back later? Sorry, I'm in an appointment. I'm like, oh, I didn't know, my bad. And my manager is like, this is such a problem. So we started having a schedule and tracking everything so we know when they're in an appointment, how many sets did they make, what were the pitches, when it closes. This sounds like so 3rd grade level because this was literally like 5 years ago. And it literally was 3rd grade level. And we were doing, at the time, God, probably $300 to $500 a month in sales. I mean, we were doing pretty good. And we didn't even have scheduling. How stupid was that? And when we implemented the scheduling, so my managers, my team leaders, and myself, and everyone in the company knew where they were at, how many appointments they were setting, and we could pull up on a spreadsheet and know that Johnny had 32 appointments, 16 showed up, and 4 deals with this pitch percentage, this cancel rate, everything. I kid you not. Our sales numbers from our first year in business to 2nd year, along with proving our operations, doubled. It doubled, a little bit more than doubled. And I'm telling you, we didn't change much, but adding sales reps. But let me tell you why. We learned our numbers. We knew our customer acquisition costs. We knew what it took, how many reps you needed, what was their average deals per month, what was the customer acquisition, what was the potential appointments they could even run without getting burnt out, what was the show rate, all these different things. So when I learned the math of my business, I could then actually change the problem and scale it. So I was like, oh, if I want to double the business, then I need to double the lead spend. I know that we're going to see a drop off and we're going to have a little bit higher customer acquisition costs, which means I don't actually need to double the ad spend. I probably need to do it 2.2 or 2.3 times because there's going to be some, margin of error that's going to occur. I'm going to need this many reps. And then we started hiring reps and we realized that, when we hire full commission sales reps, and this is just for my business example, if you hire 10, by the time they get through training, 90 days, just outside sales, only 2 to 3 are going to make it. So if we want to hire 10 reps, we got to really hire at least 30 plus people, not 10 people. We got to hire 30 to 35. And that's assuming we keep the same law of average. So my point to you is that you need to know where you're at right now with everything. You could track all types of things, but we underestimate all the issues that you occur, all right? So let's go number 2, all right? Overestimate the problems and setbacks that will occur when you're going after something big. Overestimate it. I always see people, they can't comprehend how many issues and how much rejection and how difficult it's actually going to be to take massive action and to go after something they've ever gone after before. Heard this, that there's such a great thing is when you're starting something new, you have uninformed optimism, meaning you hear about it, they're making so much money. When you find out that there's a new industry or your friend started in something or got a new job, they don't sit there and tell you about all the bad things. When you Google stuff and you see how exciting the potential could be, you think about, man, I could get that new car, I could move in this neighborhood, I could get on this, I could, blah, blah, blah. You think about all these things. So you have uninformed optimism. And what typically happens and why I believe it's so easy to actually beat the bulk of your competition in the world is because after uninformed optimism, you get informed pessimism, meaning you go from this excited, hopeful state to finding out what it's like to really make the steak, that you got to really kill the cow and you got to see what that looks like. Everybody wants the steak delivered, but no one wants to deal with what it takes to make the steak. And so you find out all the problems. And the next cycle is there's going to be another great opportunity that passes that you think is better, has less problems, and has less things to deal with. What most people do is then they didn't jump to that. They have uninformed optimism, they have informed pessimism, and then they go to the next thing, and then the next thing, and the next thing. But what happens is when that opportunity comes across and you stick with informed decisions on both the positive and the negative side, you then develop, you keep pushing, you take massive action, and that's when you develop, and that's when you start having success when the bulk of your competition couldn't make it past that third layer. That's how you have to think. So a good way, I was talking about this morning with an entrepreneur, and she started a new e-commerce business, and what I was telling her is she was making a certain amount of outreaches. It was like 50. And she said only 5 replied. And she's kind of feeling down. And what I realized is that she's used to only getting referrals and warm leads. And she said she had done cold outreach, but it was like 15 years ago. And so I was telling her, it's like, you're not used to feeling that rejection. You're used to these easy handoff deals because you have such a great business. But and she's starting a new specific business related to a similar niche of her business. And what I was telling her is, you might have underestimated how much action you needed to take. Instead of 50, you may have needed to literally reach out to 1,000 people, follow up to every single one of those, send emails also, cold calls also, cold DMs, warm outreaches from someone that knows someone in those things. And what I told her is, doing this is just kind of going to suck at the beginning. Going after something massive is just going to take so much more effort. but the reward is worth it, because the more difficult that it is, the less people are going to make it on the way to that journey, which is why you're going to get the massive reward. When you become financially free, you become a multimillionaire, heck, even a billionaire. Somebody here might be a billionaire, or multiple of you. We just underestimate what it takes. I can tell you, and through building a business, I am now so calm all the time. On the way here, I just had a random tire blow. Thank God I left 30, 40 minutes early, so I was able to figure it out. But I just kind of pulled over. I was on the phone while it happened, and no one knew it was happening. I fixed the problem. I show up here. I just jump on this. I'm not complaining about how my day is bad. I didn't text anybody and tell them about it and complain about it. It was just like whatever. Because it's like nothing to me. I've gone through so much adversity building that these are like, things happen. It's okay. Maybe I was meant to be here 10 minutes later and God protected me. You just have to realize that going after big things requires going through challenges and learning curves that we're not always going to anticipate. And so it's important to prepare for those strategically and to take calculated measures, to have money set aside, to have processes set up to when that doesn't work out, what you do next. And when you do this, the payoff is incredible. You just have to push past the resistance. All right, so number 3, keep steady. Goes off to kind of what I was just saying. Don't get too high, don't get too low. When you're building, you're taking massive action. It is a roller coaster. You're going after a new industry that you always wanted to be in. You take the brand new job and you're uncomfortable and you kind of feel that imposter syndrome. You're starting the business you always wanted to. You're moving to the town. You're starting to date people because you want to try to find a new relationship, find someone to marry. It's going to feel uncomfortable. I tell you this right now. I just went to this event. They'll cut that out. 1 second. Okay. I'll tell you, I just went to this event in DC and it was an industry that I wasn't used to being in. And like I said, I like talking. I'm used to doing it. I'm comfortable doing it, but I'm not an extrovert. So if you put me in with 200 random strangers, I don't feel happy. I'm like, who are these people? I'd rather not talk to any of them. I'd rather just mind my business. So I had to go out of my way to connect with these people, and it worked out well. But this just never gets comfortable. And the thing that's going to happen is when you're taking this big action, you're going after something new, the excitement's going to be there. Don't get so excited and hyped that you go tell everyone, you dream about it, you think about it, and then your levels go down, and then you take nothing action. You don't do anything. You don't actually go after what you want. Convert that excitement to tangible progress and massive action. During that, you're going to get rejected. People are going to probably cuss at you. You're going to hear negative things. People are going to tell you that you're doing the wrong thing. Your stuff isn't good. Your product's not great. You're in the wrong industry. You're going to have problems occur. You may have lawsuits. You may have people that quit on you. Still to this day, I deal with people that quit out of nowhere. You'll have a great employee, boom, they quit. Or you have this incredible person and they have this horrible issue with their family, which is so sad. Now you just lost their best person. It happens to the best of the best in the world. The point is if the month you do something great, you get so excited and you're celebrating and you're losing your mind, all of a sudden you can go right back to square one. So stay steady. The purpose of this is to look at things objectively and to not lose your mind. It's quarterback mindset. I learned this through playing football is, week 5, you could be the hero. Week 6, you're 0. And you're going to go through cycles and you're going to hear people talking about you. That's okay. That's why we go back to the tortoise versus the hare. It's just taking one step in front of the other, one step in front of the other, and slowly improving every aspect of yourself, your business, and the quality of the people that are around you. And one day you wake up and you're like, whoa, I'm really good at this. And everyone thinks it's an overnight success. And bam, the contract happens, the deal happens, the business explodes to the next level. You have this unbelievable accomplishment and everybody is so inspired and everybody wants what you have, but they didn't realize what it took to actually accomplish it. And not only that, but keep it. So hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. As always, you can find me on all my social media outlets at Grant Mitt. And if you guys are a business owner, you want to apply to work with me one-on-one, there's going to be a link below. Other than that, I hope you guys have an incredible week, and I'll see you guys again for episode 103. Thank you guys.